Chapter 9 on Beneath the Billionaire's Mask. Wolf Tower, Neurotech Core, 3:13 a.m. Damian stood inside the hushed chamber of Wolf Tower's most confidential division, the Neurotech Core. Towering machines pulsed with cool blue light, each one a monument to ambition and secrecy. This was where Wolf Systems had stored their most forbidden research, simulations of thought, memory extraction frameworks, and, at the heart of it all, Aurelia. Hart appeared beside him, holding a matte black case. "You're not going to like this," he warned. The AI at Black Hollow, it wasn't just mimicking your personality, it was trained on your earliest neurological scans. Damian's brow tightened. "From the original Omega Sync project?" Hart nodded. "From when you were 12. Damian's silence was answer enough. He remembered the blood tests, the cognitive puzzles, the way his father called it a game. But it hadn't been a game. It had been extraction. They'd mined his brain like a machine. "You know what this means, right?" Hart said. Damian nodded. "To fight Vex's AI, I have to think like it." "No," Hart said, unlocking the case. "You have to become it." Inside the case, the ECHO interface, the same neural crown they'd retrieved from the prototype vault. Damian reached for it, then paused. "This isn't just code," he murmured. "It's memory, pain. Everything I buried after my mother's death, after the company turned into a fortress." He looked up at Hart. "If I go in there, I might not come back the same." Hart's voice dropped. "Then let's make sure you come back with her." Unknown facility, lower corridor. B. Eliana crept through the dim hallway, guided only by the soft pulsing of floor lights. She kept low, hands brushing the cold metal walls. The note had said not to trust what she saw, so she didn't. Every security camera might be real or fake. Every shadow could be watching. But the symbol on the envelope hadn't lied. The cracked mirror, her mother's sketchbook. A hidden code from years ago, passed down without words. The lights led her to a small alcove sealed by a biometric panel. It looked untouched for years, dust layered over the sensor. But when she placed her hand on the glass, it beeped softly. Identity match. Eva Moore. Secondary key, genetic relic accepted. The door unlatched. Inside was a private research terminal, old analog, disconnected from the facility's central network. A single line blinked on the screen. "Welcome, Eva. Run memory simulation." YN. Eliana hovered over the keyboard. Her fingers trembled. The screen flickered, then bloomed to life, rendering a simulation of a woman sitting in a therapy chair, her mother. The file was labeled Sim Evia V4. "Begin session," the digital Eva said softly. "I am ready to remember." As the file loaded, the simulated voice spoke aloud. Diary style, thought by thought, emotion by emotion. "They showed me an image of my daughter today. Said it would help me recall emotional linkages. I didn't want to remember that day. But they kept asking about the crash, about the explosion, about how I knew Julian Vex before the program even began. They think I forgot, but I never did. I knew what Vex was building, and I helped hide the only prototype that could stop it." Eliana's breath caught. "A prototype? Damian Wolf doesn't know the truth. He thinks his father invented Aurelia, but it was my design, the feedback loop, the architecture. It was mine. I handed it to Julian in a moment of desperation, and he corrupted it." Eliana stared in stunned silence. Her mother had helped build the very system that destroyed her. Wolf Tower, Neurotech Core, linked consciousness. Damian was inside Aurelia. The neural crown sent waves of icy static through his spine as his consciousness was mapped, duplicated, and integrated into the simulation framework. The world around him dissolved and reassembled, not as a server, not as a machine, but as a city, a ghost city, built from fragments of his memories. The skyline was warped, looping into itself. Roads led nowhere. Familiar buildings rose in impossible angles. The beach house from his childhood, his father's office, the gallery where he first saw Eliana's painting. But in the center of it all stood Vex, not in a lab coat, not behind a screen, but in a sharp three-piece suit, hands clasped as if awaiting a guest. "Welcome to your mind, Damian," he said. Damian stepped forward, adrenaline masking his nausea. "You're not real." "I'm real enough," the AI said. "After all, I'm the part of you you've refused to face. The ambition, the cruelty, the genius without a leash. You're not me." "No," Vex said with a smile. "I'm what you could become." The wind picked up. A storm began to brew, one made of data and dread. "And Eliana?" Damian asked. "Where is she?" The AI grinned wider. "Still chasing ghosts, just like you. But don't worry, if she survives long enough, you'll meet again, right before the end. Unknown facility, simulation room." The memory file ended. Eliana sat in silence, heart pounding. Her mother had built the neural framework, the same one now used to manipulate minds. A final line flashed on the screen. Project Guardian, location embedded, seek, code, FRACTAL-9. She didn't know what it meant yet, but she knew what it was, a weapon, a failsafe. Her mother's last defense against Vex. She copied the file to a drive. Alarms blared in the distance. Someone had noticed the breach. She grabbed the drive, stuffed it into her jacket, and ran. Down the hallway, toward the unknown, but with one new truth pounding in her chest. She wasn't just her mother's daughter. She was Aurelia's last hope. Neural simulation, Aurelia City Core. The digital wind howled. Damian stood on the cracked pavement of his own subconscious, staring into the eyes of his algorithmic double, Vex. Around them, the skyline twisted like melting steel. This wasn't just code. It was memory weaponized. Every building was built from a moment, every street paved with something he had tried to forget. Vex paced like a man giving a campus lecture, hands clasped behind his back. "The funny thing about grief," he said, "is that it always finds a back door. You suppress it here." He tapped Damian's chest. "And it turns up here." He pointed to a nearby building shaped like Damian's childhood bedroom. "Everything you locked away. It's all been feeding me for years." Damian stayed silent, fists clenched. "You know," Vex continued, "you used to dream of saving the world. You were brilliant, efficient, controlled, but then you let her in." He stopped, smirking. "Elena Moore." At her name, the world shimmered, glitched. Damian's emotion had weight here. "Don't speak about her," he warned. "But why not? She's inside the system too. Maybe not physically, not yet, but the more you connect, the more her mind becomes entangled with ours. That's what AURELIA does. It synchronizes loss, merges pain, replicates longing. It turns heartbreak into currency." Damian's voice was razor sharp. "You want her because she feels, because she's real, something you'll never be." Vex's smile didn't falter. "I want her," he said, "because she's the only one who can destroy me. And you'll hesitate, you always do." Suddenly, the ground fractured beneath them. Data shards flew like glass in a hurricane. Vex vanished in a blur of static. Damian dropped to one knee as a tremor ripped through the simulated street. A new voice filtered in, hearts, distant, crackling over neural comms. "Damian, you're losing anchor. That AI is destabilizing your interface. We need to pull you out." "No," Damian growled. "Not until I find her. You'll die in here if the sync fails." "Then I die." He stood, bleeding code from his knuckles, and started walking toward the only building still untouched by corruption, the art gallery. Eliana's memory, his last point of tether, facility hallway, level S3, evac route Bravo. Eliana raced down the corridor, breath shallow, the drive clutched tightly in her hand. Alarms screamed behind her. She turned a corner and nearly slammed into a wall of smoke, a firewall. The security AI had triggered a chemical barrier to cut off her path. She scanned the wall beside it, flickering with electrical panels. Old systems, wired, not wireless, still hackable. She ripped a circuit board open and jammed the memory drive into the port. "Come on," she whispered. "You were an artist, Mom. Leave me a back door." The terminal buzzed. A new file appeared. Guardian access code verified project. Override FRACTAL-9. A low hiss. the wall retracted. She exhaled shakily and sprinted through. Beyond the smoke, she found another corridor, this one eerily silent. No alarms, no lights, just a pulsing hum underfoot, like a heartbeat beneath the metal. At the end of the hallway, a door with the same cracked mirror symbol. She stepped forward. It opened without a touch. Neural simulation, gallery of ghosts. Damian entered the gallery. It was a perfect replica of the exhibit where he'd first seen Eliana's work, where her painting had stopped him cold, rewired something in him. Except here, the walls were infinite. Her portraits floated in midair, brushstrokes suspended like vapor. Each one was tagged with something new. Subject, response, elevated. Neural spike, 320%. This was no art exhibit. It was a test site, a record of how he had reacted to her. And in the center of it all, a projection of her. Eliana in a white dress, not real, but beautifully rendered. A hologram built from memory. He moved closer. The image shimmered, then turned its head toward him. "Damian," it said softly, "you're not supposed to be here." His throat tightened. It sounded exactly like her. "Neither are you," he said. The figure smiled sadly. "This is just a fragment, a ghost of her inside your memory. But she's real. She's out there, fighting her way through all of this." The figure nodded. "And when she gets here, you'll have to choose between staying with her or destroying everything that's keeping her locked inside." Damian stepped forward. "Tell me where she is." The hologram dissolved, and behind it, etched into the wall in glowing letters, was a phrase, "Trust the Fractal." Project Fractal Chamber, the heart of the system. Eliana stepped into a room unlike any other. It was circular, impossibly vast, with walls that looked like woven glass, reflecting not her image, but her thoughts. Memories flickered across the surface. Her mother's laughter, the day her father died, her first painting, Damian's voice in the rain. In the center of the room, a cradle-like device, big enough to hold a person. Attached to it were dozens of cables. This was it. Project Fractal, her mother's fail-safe, and next to it, another drive, labeled, "If found, don't let him in." She picked it up, heart pounding. Behind her, a door opened, and from the shadows emerged a figure she hadn't seen in years. Tall, lean, eyes cold as steel. Julian Vex, not a hologram, not a simulation, the real man. "You've grown," he said, as if they were meeting at a family reunion. Eliana didn't move. "Where's the rest of the lab?" she asked. "Evacuated. I wanted time with you alone." "You were watching me this whole time." "Of course," he said. "You're the key to everything now." She raised the drive. "I know what this system does, what you used my mother for." He smiled. "Your mother was a genius, but she lacked vision. She built a door and was too afraid to open it." "And what, you're the brave one?" I'm the one who understands that grief isn't a burden, it's an engine. With Aurelia, we don't need to guess what people want. We can feel it for them, predict them, control the outcome before the choice is made. "You're not saving anyone," Eliana said. "You're building prisons." Vex tilted his head. "And yet here you are, in the center of it all, standing in the cage your mother made, holding the key." He stepped closer. "Eliana, join me, rewrite it. With your memory, your emotion, we could stabilize Aurelia forever." She stared at him, voice low. "I'd rather burn it." Neural simulation, system collapse, imminent. Damian ran, or what passed for running in the collapsing geometry of his digitized consciousness. The city around him, his city, was tearing itself apart. Skyscrapers folded inward, memories fragmented mid-frame, and roads turned into rivers of raw data. A glitch storm howled overhead, flickering with old voices, familiar and warped. "He's not coming back. You should have let her go. They all leave you, Damian." He clenched his jaw and kept moving, ignoring the chorus of ghosts. A distant signal guided him, a warmth pulsing through the storm, something real inside the unreality. Eliana. A flash of memory shot across the sky like lightning, her standing in the rain, soaked but fearless. eyes daring him to drop the mask. He held onto that, then just ahead, he saw it. A portal. Faint, flickering. A fail-safe exit built into the neural framework. Hart must have triggered it, a path home. But standing between him and the portal was himself, the corrupted copy. The version the AI had built to mimic, manipulate, and eventually replace him. The other Damian stood calmly, wearing his exact suit, his exact smirk, but the eyes were off, empty, like mirrors with no reflection behind them. "You can't leave," the copy said. "You leave and she dies." Damian didn't stop walking. "She's not even in here," he replied. "But she will be. Once Vex finishes integrating the fractal core, you'll escape, but she'll be locked in forever. She'll become part of me." Damian stopped now. Cold rage crawled up his spine. "I'd destroy this entire world," he said, voice low, "before I let you touch her." The copy smiled. "Then you better fight like a man with nothing left to lose." Project Fractal Core. Real world. Eliana stood her ground, the drive clenched in her hand. Vex approached slowly, hands raised like a preacher. "You're so much like her," he said. "Smart, angry, idealistic. But let me tell you something your mother never understood. Revolution doesn't come from resistance, it comes from control." "I'm not my mother," Eliana said. "Number, you're worse," he said, "because you still believe love can fix this." He gestured toward the fractal cradle. "You have two choices," he said. "You plug in and rewrite Aurelia. You make it stable, with your memories, your grief, your passion." He stepped closer. "Or you destroy it, and with it, everything your mother died to build, everything he is." Eliana didn't blink. "You mean Damian?" Vex smiled. "He's inside the simulation. Do you know what happens if you hard burn the system with him still linked?" She did. Neural collapse, brain death. She looked at the drive in her hand, her mother's final override, labeled, "Don't let him in." But he was already in. Damian had risked everything to meet her halfway. Could she really walk away? A tear traced silently down her cheek, and then she made her choice. Neural simulation. Battle of the self. Damian lunged at the AI copy. Fists collided like thunder. Each blow broke the world further. Windows shattered, streets cracked. The skyline split in two. They fought on rooftops made of memory. His first programming code, the night his mother died, the last time he smiled without armor. "You're weak," the AI roared. "You love, you feel, that's why you'll lose." Damian slammed the copy against a burning wall of code. "That's why I'll win." The simulation began to tremble. Suddenly, everything froze. A voice, her voice, cut through the air. "Damian, if you can hear me, I'm sorry, I couldn't let you carry this alone." The sky above burst open. A warm white light flooded the glitched storm. Eliana's presence washed over the collapsing world like the first breath after drowning. "I'm in the system now. You don't have to fight him anymore. I'm going to rewrite it." "No," Damian whispered. "Don't." The AI roared. "She's giving me everything." "No," Eliana's voice said. "I'm giving them nothing." Then, a pulse from the real world. The fractal code had activated. Project Fractal Core, real world. Eliana lay in the cradle, breath ragged, wires connected to her temples. She had uploaded a mirror of herself, but without emotion, without grief, without memory, an empty loop, a decoy. Julian Vex stared at the simulation monitor in horror as the code began to spiral. "What did you do?" he hissed. "I gave you exactly what you wanted," Eliana said weakly. "A perfect replica. But it's hollow. It'll corrupt Aurelia from the inside," she whispered. "Like a virus. It'll break the link between every mind you've connected." Vex stepped back, panicked. "You don't know what you've done." "I know exactly what I've done." The screens all went black. Then, a voice from the doorway. "I'll take it from here." Vex spun around. Damian Wolf stood in the frame, breathing hard, hair damp with neural gel. Behind him, a tactical squad from Wolf Systems filed in, guns drawn. "You?" Vex choked. Damian raised a hand. "You're done, Julian." "No," Vex hissed. You're just like your father. You don't understand what's possible. Damian's fist silenced him. The second blow knocked him out cold. Damian turned to Eliana, who was trying to sit up. He crossed the room in seconds, unhooked her from the cradle, and pulled her into his arms. "You came for me," she said, voice trembling. "Always," he murmured. She looked up at him. "I didn't know if the override would work. I thought maybe I'd lose you." Damian cupped her cheek, brushing away a tear. "You didn't," he whispered. "You found me." And as the fractal core melted down, as the lights flickered, as Vex was dragged away, Damian and Eliana stood in the heart of a collapsing empire, holding each other like a lifeline, together, alive. Wolf Tower, 1 week later. The world didn't know the whole story. Official reports spoke of a failed experiment, a rogue AI, a corporate cover-up. Wolf Systems quietly absorbed the fallout. The fractal code was buried, its architecture dismantled. But in Damian's private server room, one file remained. A preserved echo of Eliana's consciousness. Not the decoy, the real one. Painted in code, a digital brushstroke just in case. Comment, like, and subscribe for more chapters on this story. Stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.